Hello everyone, my name is Joshua Winkins, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I want to go over the basics of color correction in Final Cut Pro 10. Now, in no way is this a professional, high-level video about coloring in Final Cut Pro 10. These are just a couple of things that I found to be very useful when I'm color correcting my videos, and is often one of the first things I do when it comes to anything regarding coloring in Final Cut Pro 10. Now, before I continue on with the video, I want to make it very clear that everyone has their own styles for coloring their videos, so the way I do it may be different from the way you do it, so just keep that in mind. And another thing that's important is you don't want to color correct your video by just eyeballing it. You want to actually use some of the built-in tools Final Cut Pro offers just to make sure that everything is accurate. And if you don't know why you want to actually use the tools and not eyeball it, it's because every screen is different, so the video is going to look different on every screen, so you can't just base it on one screen. You have to use some of the built-in tools. So what you're going to want to do is you want to head over here to the Windows section, click on Window, and under Workspaces, you want to go to Color and Effects. That's the first part. Now you want to go over here to View, click on this, and you want to click on this icon right here. Once you're on this icon, you want to go over to Waveform. Now, basically, let me kind of give you a quick description of each one of these things. This right here is the RGB, so here are the different colors, and it basically goes like this. As you can see, this matches up with the light. So it doesn't mean the whole image is red, it just shows, as you can see right here, see this part, it's supposed to matching up with this light, and this part is matching up with the salt lamp. Hopefully that made a lot of sense. But this part is the color, so you want to make sure that your video isn't too blue, too green, or too red. Over here is the shadow and the highlights. The highlights is at 100, the shadows is at 0, so you don't want your highlights to go above 100, and you don't want your shadows to go below 0. Now, why is color correction so important? Well, here is an image for my stop motion video. As you can see right here, it's so dark that the shadows are way too low. So you're gonna have to fix the shadows, and I'll go over that. Okay, so what do you want to do? What's the first thing you want to do? Well, you want to head over here to the color icon right here. Click on here. Under correction, you want to click on Add Color Wheel. Everyone has different methods for how to do this, but I like to go on click on Add Color Wheel. Now, once you're on the color wheel section, as you can see right here, let me crank up the shadows. Obviously, you don't want it to look like that. So here's basically how it works. The master is right here. That controls absolutely everything. The shadows and the highlights and the midtones. The shadows are the darkest parts of the video, the highlights are the brightest part of the video, and the midtones are the middle part. You don't really need to mess with the midtones that much. Midtones often tend to be your skin color. So as you can see right here, that's basically a midtone, so it's pretty much like a skin color. So you don't really have to worry about midtones too much, but yeah, you can obviously mess with it. Again, everyone has different methods. So let's crank the shadows down, and as you can see right here, it goes below 0, and that looks absolutely horrific. You don't even need to use this tool to realize that that looks awful. So what you're going to want to do here, as you can see right here, see this white line. This is 0. You don't want the shadows to be below this white line. So I encourage you to probably, as you can see right here, see where none of it is touching the white line. You might be able to increase them a little bit more, or that might be a little too bright, but as you can see right here, you want to make sure the shadows are above that, and you may want to increase the highlights a little bit, because, for example, this is the orange light, here's the salt lamp, and it's pretty much hovering at 50, so you could maybe increase the highlights just a little bit, just to help make the image look a little bit brighter. Overall, I think that looks a lot better. And we want to go over here to temperature. Going it this way will make the image too blue. Going this way will make the image too warm. I often settle at like 54 or 5500. That is honestly the temperature that I like to stay at. So again, it's all up to you. So that's pretty much it. I always increase the shadows a little bit, increase the highlights. You want to make sure the image is not too dark, but you want to make sure the image is not too bright. And obviously, if the image is just way too bright or way too dark, and the shadows and highlights don't do anything, you can definitely increase The master, it's basically like the override switch. You could maybe increase the midtones a little bit, but like I said before, it's like the middle. So it's not the brightest part, not the darkest part, it's the middle. Often tends to be the skin color. Okay, so we messed with the shadows, we messed with the highlights, we messed with the midtones, and we messed with the temperature. Now you want to head over here and you want to press on color curves. Once you're in color curves, now this is messing with this part. The color wheel messed with this part, the color, and also another thing to mention, look at the whole, like, it's basically all white. There's two orange parts right here, but that means probably the image is pretty good. If this was a blue or orange, it probably means the image is too warm or too cold. So having it white is usually like the neutral mid-ground. That probably means it's pretty good. As you can see right here, here are the RGB colors. Now as you can see right here, there we go. We can bring down the red, and as you can see, this red part changed. So basically what you're going to want to do is you want to basically have them all pretty much at the same level. And honestly, it pretty much is good how it is. Maybe you want to increase the greens a little bit to help make, but that's still, maybe you want to increase the greens just slightly. But as you can see right here, this is pretty level. For example, let's say your image for some weird reason looked like this, or maybe something like that. It looked a little too warm. And as you can see right here, the blue is too low. You want the blue, green, and red to all pretty much be on the same level. And honestly, as you can see right here, it's not perfect, but I think it's pretty close, and you could probably get away with it a little bit. Another thing you could do is you could head over here and you could press on the color board. This also, as you can see right here, we're in color exposure. You could also maybe increase the saturation a little bit. As you can see, that may look a little bit better. Just increase the saturation. In camera, the saturation is pretty much decreased, so you could increase it a little bit just to make it a little bit better. Again, shadows, midtones, highlights, but you may want to increase the master. That might look a little too fake, but you could definitely increase the saturation just so your image doesn't look too desaturated. Now, what you could also do here is create LUTs. Now, as you can see right here, here are the different things I have. I have the color wheel, I have the color curve, and I have the color board. That's all in this one video. What you're going to want to do is you want to head over to Save Effects Presets, and then you can rename it. Let's just say color test. You want to make sure to click on Save Effects Preset, and boom, save. Now you have created your own LUT. Now, how do you apply, or to show that actually, well, here's what the image looks like, and now here's a different video. Now, what do we call it? We called it color test, I believe. So you want to head over here to the effects panel. You want to head over to colors, and then scroll down in colors. You can also search it up until we find it. And let's see, I probably missed it here and there. Okay, there you go. Color test. Now, as you can see right here, obviously it's a different image, so it's going to look a little bit different, but here is the preset. Let's apply the preset on, and obviously we probably want to mess a little bit. The shadows are probably a little too high on this, but that is how you create your own preset. It's in the effects panel in color, and here's the preset. And like I said before, all you want to do is just say Save Effects Preset, and as you can see, we have the color wheel 1, color curve, and color board all saved, so that works there. Another thing you could do before I talk about adjustment layers, I just want to show you why color correction is so important. I'm not going to do a whole in-depth color correction of this video, but as you can see right here, you probably want to add a color wheel, and you probably want to increase the shadows just a little bit, because here's why you want to increase the shadows. If the shadows are too dark and you watch it on a phone or something that may not have a super bright screen, you're going to start to get those like pixelated squares, and it overall is just going to look really ugly. So you always want to make sure the shadows are high enough. Again, to reiterate it, you don't want the shadows to be below 0, and you don't want the highlights to be above 100. That is pretty much the basics of color correction, and always keep that in mind. Another thing I'm going to go over is adjustment layers, and what you want to do over here is in the text right here, you want to head over to adjustment layers, and let's just apply a medium adjustment layer on and apply it all. Okay, so why would you want to add an adjustment layer? Well, adjustment layers often allow you to color grade multiple clips at once. So let's say you have 15 different clips, but they're all shot in the same setting. Instead of individually coloring all 15 clips, you could first of all create a preset, and then you could also create an adjustment layer. So let's just say right here, here's the adjustment layer. Let's go to color, and let's add, as you can see right here, we want to apply it onto the adjustment layer and wait for it to render a little bit. And as you can see right here, it affects every single clip, and that's why adjustment layers are also really nice. Now you could also go over here on adjustment layers, color, and then let's apply a color wheel onto it. So this is how you could also do it. You could add a preset onto it, or you could add a color wheel, and let's go ahead and crank up the shadows just to give you a very visual representation of what this does. So you could also add adjustment layers too. As you can see, it affects every single clip. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you found something useful out of this video. Hopefully you found informative. I'm giving away a Google Home Mini once I reach 1,000 subscribers. Subscribe to the channel if you want Final Cut Pro 10 tutorials almost every single day. See you guys in the next one. Peace.